Welcome back to another episode of This is My South Bay podcast. And today I have with me Michael Nease.
How's it going?
It's going great. Having a great day. Sunny outside and enjoying the Southern California weather.
Yeah.
And I'm not in office, so I love it.
That's right. And this is my first time on this side of the podcast. I've done quite a bit of recording with you, but this is exciting to actually be able to be doing this with you.
For me also. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So today I wanted to talk briefly about local search engine optimization, which seems to be, the crux of it for a lot of local businesses. So basically, if you have a business and it's, you're a tire shop and you're competing with local businesses, you're looking for people to drive into your location and use your services. You're really not looking for traffic if you're in Los Angeles. You're not looking for traffic in Texas or Connecticut or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of see this as being, from my point of view, as being like the storefront for local business online. I use it a lot. I use local SEO as a consumer a lot, where if I'm looking for a restaurant or a dentist or something like that, I just go straight to Google, which I think most people do, and I type in dentist, and then it shows me like that list of dentists in my area with rankings and different things like that. So I think, kind of like I've done this a bit for my own businesses and for a few others, but I know this, you've done a lot more than I have. So just thinking, I'll just say this because my friends, some friends of ours just started doing a hyperbaric chamber. It's a new kind of edgy medical treatment to help some incurable conditions that they have. And so if I'm looking for a hyperbaric chamber as well, and I have a hyperbaric company, how do I make sure that I'm the one that people find as opposed to, ABC hyperbaric? I don't know.
Exactly. So again, with businesses that are looking to target local, what happens, first of all, is Google wants to be able to deliver the correct results to its users. So it has a couple ways to do it. First of all, it's trying to figure out from, if you're logged into your Facebook account, if you're logged into your Gmail account, it kind of knows where you are.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. They had, your Yelp account, et cetera. They kind of know, Google knows, okay, this person's in Los Angeles. And especially when you type in near me or something like that, without even typing in the city, it will figure out where you're at. And so if you're looking for, let's say, a pizza shop, it's completely irrelevant if you're in downtown Los Angeles and then a pizza shop comes up in Seattle.
Right.
So Google will not have done its job, and then eventually users will move on to another search engine that, they don't have to search so hard to find what they're looking for. So that's the first thing, is that Google has things set up to figure out where you are, which is kind of spooky, but Google knows.
Yeah, and I recently was invited to become a Google guide.
What is that?
So it's basically Google can see that you've been to a place, and after you've reviewed a few places on Google, they say, would you be interested in being a Google guide? So I'm like a local person who every now and then I'll open Google and it'll say, I see that you were at such and such Mediterranean. Would you be willing to answer some questions about it?
Oh, wow.
And it asks questions like, do they have a handicap accessible entrance? Is this place good for kids? Do they accept reservations? And it's just yes and no questions.
Okay.
And so I would imagine that kind of feeds into something like this. It's an interesting experience, because I'm giving them the opportunity to kind of follow me on my phone. And so, but for the experimental side of it, I've been doing it to kind of see what it is and like how it might be beneficial to other people.
Of course. So Google is out there always collecting data. So because again, if it doesn't deliver the right search results, then they're going to be out of business.
Yeah.
So, people are looking for, some of these, looking at some of these search engines like Yelp and Google and so on. And they're wanting to have those results right away, and they can look at the reviews or look at the the menu of the store or the pricing on the what they're offering and make a decision right there on their cell phone.
Yeah,
possibly.
So what are some like top things that a company needs to do to, I don't know, even get listed and maybe make sure that they're even showing up?
Yes. So whatever you're going to do for search engine optimization, you want to kind of bring it down, scale it down to a local strategy. So let's say, for example, you're selling, I don't know, engagement rings.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people might want to try on the engagement ring before they purchase it. They might want to customize it, etc. So if you're doing an engagement ring, you can say manufactured engagement rings in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Engagement ring wholesaler Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Target the area. Go after a certain proximity, as opposed to doing it in a generic way where you just use the keyword. So when you add in the title tag or the anchor text or whatever, you add Los Angeles or LA area, downtown LA, etc. Whatever you're going to do, you can kind of see a better result locally.
Yeah.
So that's the first strategy.
So kind of like quality Thai food in Torrance.
Exactly. So you want to go after, and you can do, if you're in Torrance, you can do that keyword Torrance. You can do that keyword South Bay. You can do that keyword Los Angeles, that keyword Greater Los Angeles area, etc., and see which ones are indexing, which ones are bringing in the traffic. Do a bunch of keywords that way, and kind of have, it'll almost be like your own case study to see which ones are indexing, which ones are bringing in the traffic, etc. And that way, you don't have to waste your time with doing that process over and over again for every keyword.
Yeah.
The next thing I would say is when you're doing link building, to really lock in on the neighborhood and go after the directories, the local influencers and so on that are going to give you links for that area.
So for the business owner who might be listening, who may not know, maybe they've heard the term link building, but they don't know exactly what it is. Explain it in the simplest way possible.
Well, textbook, there's a couple different ways of link building, but the textbook way is there's somebody has something, they mention your website on their website, and then they give you a clickable link from their website to your website. So they're pointing from their website to yours. Like if you're looking for this service, if you're looking for a dry cleaning store in Redondo Beach, you can click here, and that link, when they click it, takes you directly to your website that is, in this case, a dry cleaning store. So the more links you have that are pointing to you from other websites, the more people that are saying, hey, this is a good website, go check them out. Here's a link that I've given, and go check them out, and they're awesome, the better your ranking is going to be.
Kind of like Google saying, here's your website looks like it's going to be interesting to other people because all these other people are linking to you.
Exactly. So that's where kind of Google Organic really kicks in, is Google is kind of vouching for you when it ranks you, because you can buy the traffic from Google, but you can't buy the organic. It's kind of like Google is saying, hey, if you're looking for this service, here's a list of companies that we think their business model, their business, etc., matches well with what you're offering. And they're taking a number of indicators to come up with ranking you. Like I said, the link building is one of them. Reviews, time on site, average pages that are viewed by an average person, etc. Like it's just kind of going in there. If you go into your Google Analytics and there's all that data, Google's looking at it also. So if you have 100 people that came to your website today, and all of them came to your website and they left without spending any time on it, without going into any of the other pages, it's a negative thing. You're not going to get ranked when you have people that are just bouncing. It's called a bounce rate. So if somebody comes to your site and they just bounce, the higher your bounce rate is, the less of a chance you have to get ranked with Google. And
then your listing is there, but it might be on page 2.
Or it could be not even ranked.
Like not even showing up in searches.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
So again, Google's, in their mind, they're protecting us, like the user, from websites that, they don't recommend. And again, they're looking at different indicators for that. Sometimes the reason that someone doesn't stay on a website, it could be the load time. It just takes too long for the website to load.
Yeah.
These are things that can be corrected.
Absolutely.
But it's not like Google calls you and tells you, hey, move to a faster server.
Right. So let's say that a company does go through and do some of these things. Maybe they've had their brick and mortar store for a couple years. They've had a really not a very strong web presence, and they're trying to actually start to get ranked. What kind of a time frame are they looking at between like starting to do this work to actually like seeing improvements?
Well, SEO is it's kind of a long game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're going to do a blog post and suddenly everyone's going to be coming to your website and you're going to be a brand. That's kind of like the dream that a lot of marketers, SEO, quote unquote, specialists sell, is that, hey, I'll get you number one and you'll have more business than you'll know what to do with. Generally, the way it works is you have to come up with a strategy, come up with the keywords that are important to you, find the keywords that there's potential. Because if you're going after, let's say, I'll use the example with jewelry again. If you go after the keyword jewelry, you're probably not going to get ranked ever in the number one or number two. But if you go after, let's say, men's tungsten wedding band, you have a much better chance of getting ranked. And if that's what you're going after, because under the umbrella of jewelry, you might have pearls, you might have watches, you might have silver jewelry, you might have all kinds of things that you don't even carry. So you don't really need to go after that keyword. The long tail keywords are where the higher conversions are.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning, I feel like most people skip over the keyword analysis and research, and they skip over the competitive analysis, and they just kind of jump into, okay, I want this keyword. But does that really work? When you go through all that trouble of optimizing for it, are you really going to be able to convert? So that's the first, like the crux of it, is to kind of go in there and figure out what are we going to go through the trouble of doing to get this traffic to come to your website.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a whole lot of moving parts that factor into the whole. That's what it seems. So short of hiring someone like yourself, which, what are like maybe just a couple things that businesses can do just on their own?
I would say in the beginning, they should probably ask for reviews from their clients.
Mm-hmm.
If they can open up a Yelp account, and then when there's a client that they feel like they hit it off with, to ask for a Yelp review. Obviously, I can say all the nice things about myself, but if somebody else says something nice about me, that goes much further in life.
It's true.
And there's no difference with digital. Yelp looks, and I could write blog articles about myself all day talking about how wonderful I am. But if somebody else goes to Google reviews or Yelp reviews and says something nice about me, that goes 1,000 times further.
That's very true. Speaking of Yelp, I get calls from them all the time wanting me to pay for their services. Is that something, like, I know that business owners are also getting the same thing. Should I talk to them?
Yeah. It depends on your budget.
Yeah.
So, and it depends, there's a lot of competition on Yelp, and it seems to be, on the expensive side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not cheap. So you have to be careful. I think they have like a monthly minimum, and that's just to get ranked X number of impressions. And I'm not a really big fan of buying impressions.
Yeah.
So I don't suggest it if you have a limited budget. Mm-hmm. There's other ways to kind of get the word out. So that's...
Yeah, I've always told them no.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want to say no.
I tell them not right now.
Exactly.
Because
if you're just starting.
It's not in my budget currently, so call me in 6 months to a year and maybe I'll be in a different mindset.
Exactly. There are other places to spend that money, but in the beginning, I don't think that you need to spend it on review sites.
Yeah.
Because if you're new, and I'm assuming that site doesn't have a lot of reviews to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it looks a little bit weird if Google looks and you're getting on your website, let's say 10 visitors a day, which
mm-hmm.
isn't much.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, you have 100 reviews.
Right.
That's not going to make sense either.
So they're kind of looking for anomalies that might be people trying to cheat the system.
Exactly.
So it seems like, as with anything in life, the more honest and straightforward you are about this, the better results ultimately over time
Absolutely.
you'll get.
Absolutely. If you're looking for something where there's like a spike in traffic,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of things that companies will do. It's called black hat,
Mm-hmm.
where they do things that it's going to upset Google in the long term. As soon as Google finds out, Google's going to take away most, if not all, of your ranking. But you could get kind of like this sugar rush, I call it, where
Mm-hmm.
suddenly the traffic goes through the roof, and sales are coming in and phone calls are coming in. And as soon as Google finds out, watch out, because you'll be in a sandbox and it'll be difficult to get out of that. It's not a
Right.
long-term strategy for building a business. And I've
Yeah.
had companies approach me to do things like that. I don't touch that, because I feel like that's unethical.
Mm-hmm.
You can build all these fake links to
Mm-hmm.
pages and do these things, but the minute you're not going to fool Google. So the minute Google finds out, then good luck after that.
Yeah, this kind of makes me think of like financial investments. People artificially inflate a stock. It sees an increase. A bunch of people make thousands of dollars, and then immediately it crashes. Whereas the people who are like Warren Buffett, who have these long-term plays that are increasing consistently over time, are the ones who ultimately benefit.
That's a good example. I'm going to use that in the future.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely. Yeah. So is there anything else that you think we need to cover?
Well, there's a lot to talk about with SEO, but I think that kind of gives people an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody wants to get more information, you're welcome to go to my website. This is mysouthbay.com. And I have, if you book now, I have like 15-minute sessions where I can kind of answer your questions and see if there's anything that I would say are like low-lying fruit for you to kind of get the ball rolling with your digital marketing campaign with your website. And so I would say, start there. Do some research. Whatever you're going to do, you need to do it consistently. The example that I always give with SEO is, if you're going to eat 365 dinners in 1 year, January 1st, if you eat all 365 and you don't eat the rest of the year, how's that going to be? Like, how's that going to work out?
Miserable.
So it has to be consistently, one a day if you're going to do 365. If you're going to do 52, do it once a week. It has to, your social media, your blog posts, your link building, everything has to be with some kind of consistency so that Google understands Google is looking for trends. So that, I would say, have that in mind when you're preparing to go on this long journey with search engine optimization.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming in. And until next time, everybody.